Hey everyone, it is 20, and welcome back. We got well, I was gonna say a lot to catch up on, but not really. 2 months, so I don't think I need to rush it that fast. But anyway, media thread. So there was one thing I forgot to mention in January, so I guess I'll do it here. For 2026 and moving on, I'm just gonna full on go all spoilers. I know in the past I've maybe a little bit, maybe resisted, but there's really no point. And in the description of these videos, I keep track of what I'm going to be talking about it. Like I write them all down there in the list. So if you see something on the list that for whatever reason you don't want any spoilers for, you can just not watch the video, or you can skip that part or whatever. But yeah, so that was something I meant to change in January and I forgot completely. So we'll start here in February. Whether we hit something crazy that no one wants no spoilers about or not in February, we'll see. Anyway. This was a really active month because I had I took some time off work, and during that time off I was able to do a lot of stuff. Mainly I was playing one game in particular and watching a bunch of Sentai. Because with the announcement that Super Sentai was ending, I wanted to take the opportunity, or at least going on a hiatus following Gozyuger. I at least wanted to take the opportunity to go back and kind of like loop around and close the loop on the Sentais that I haven't seen. So like, if you list all the Sentais off in a row, I started on number 31, Gekiranger, all the way to 50 with Gozyuger, and I've bounced back a few times. One of the times I bounced back was Ranger many years ago, and another time was Kakuranger last year? I think it was last year. And those are right one after the other. And then I decided, why don't I just continue going from there? Ranger, Kakuranger, Ohranger, and then just move until I catch back up to Gekiranger, which means ending at number 30, which is Bulkanger. So I decided, yeah, I'll do that. So that's what I committed to doing, and so during my time off, I started with Ohranger. So the first two things on the list here are actually the movies, because for Ohranger, I watched it. I think I was about halfway done with Ohranger, something like that, when I finally put it on. And apparently this was the only standalone, this was the last standalone Sentai movie until I think the wiki said Gaoranger? I could be wrong, but I think it said Gaoranger. Because the ones after, Carranger, Megaranger, and Gingaman don't have movies. Well, movies for that Sentai. They have the crossovers, obviously, which we'll get to in a bit, but this was like an actual, I guess, in theater thing. Although it is odd they mentioned Gaoranger, because I'm like, doesn't Go-Go 5 have like a special with that like 6 Ranger or 6 Warrior, if you want to call her that? So I don't know, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, so I mean, there wasn't really much about it, because this one was, according to what I wrote here and what was on the wiki, set at earliest after episode 8 of the series. So with that early on, it's not like they have a lot of weapons or unique stuff that they can do. It's a really basic. A lot of this applies to actually a lot of movies even out, like in the last 5 or 6 years, like solo movies for Sentais and Riders. Some of them are just like an episode. It's like some of them are really short because they're double billed and all that. So not much. I was trying to remember what this plot was. So this one, I read it here and I was like, yeah, right. The Prince of the Baranoia, the Machine Empire Baranoia, Budont, wants to make a movie. Because of course he does, and he kidnaps a bunch of children for it, and so the Ohrangers go in to try to basically stop the movie from happening, rescue the kids, and, you know, all that. So it was kind of nuts. I even said here, kind of wacky. It's funny how many different places they go to because of the, what's the word? The movie sets. And also there was a lot of Machine Empire Baranoia monsters in this movie, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a big final fight, but like the monsters all fuse into one for the finale, and then they get taken out after that, obviously, pretty easily. It's very 40 minutes long. It only felt like it. Like, it felt a lot longer than I was expecting it to when I went into it. But I guess if it is a movie, it makes sense. It's an enjoyable little romp. I like the equivalent of a double episode, but I enjoyed it. Just the whole fact about Budont wanting to shoot a movie was just really silly to me. That was February 3rd. Was this also February 3rd? Yeah, and then at the same time I decided to also catch up on the Gozyuger movie, finally. What's funny is, like, the big climax of this movie, I thought was from one of the last episodes of Gozyuger. So I was like surprised to see what everyone was talking about was from the movie. And I was like, oh, I figured y'all would have been talking about the movie when the movie came out, but I guess it makes sense that they wait until it's actually subtitled before they all start blabbing about it. Yeah, so the number 1 Sentai Gozyuger movie, Tegasword's Resurrection. Yeah. This kind of calls back to a problem I had a while ago with just Sentai and Rider movies lately, and it's ultimately nothing I can really do, because it's not really like a complaint I think anyone would care too much about. But I'll just bring it up one last time here, is the fact that this movie was released, I want to say in like the first half of Gozyuger, around that time in Japan. And obviously I didn't get to see it until Gozyuger was almost finished. And then, but about like 20 episodes ago, they referenced the events of the movie in the main plot of the show when they were introducing the fragments of the catastrophe, or whatever it was called, the calamity. And that's just a recurring thing that happens in a lot of Sentais and Riders I'm not too big a fan of. And I know it's like, well, you don't live in Japan, so you can't go to the theater, you can't see the movie, so, you know, whatever, you're out of the loop, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. It's just a little annoying. Sometimes it's not as annoying. Like with Kamen Rider Gav, there was an episode that ended with a really weird alt-universe scene with like all the Stomach family being happy, if you could say that. And I was like, what is this? And then I realized, oh, this is like a promo or like a lead-in to the movie, and then the rest of the show continues as if that little scene never happened. But I mean, if we're talking about weird moments, I think the most blatant like ones come from Gaim. There's like 2 episodes of Gaim that I skipped with my sister when we were watching Gaim, just because she wouldn't have been, it'd have been whatever. I think it was the one with Kikaider, leading into the Kikaider reboot, and there was another one I can't remember what it was on. I have to look it up. But it's like, it literally just hits pause on the main storyline of Gaim to do this weird side quest about something completely unrelated to Gaim. And then the next episode continues on as if that never happened. So, and it really, like, on the one hand, I appreciate the continuity across the multiple things, but on the other hand, it really kind of locks you out of certain things, or makes you confused when all the characters talk about something as if you should know what it is, but you don't. You know, I guess it depends on whether you care or not. But regardless, all that is to say, this introduced the first fragments of the calamity that they had to fight, and involved with the Gozyugers going inside Tegasword, basically, to try to root out the corruption that's in there and kick it out so they could properly defeat it. You know, save Tegasword. And it's fun because I love, like I mentioned here, the uncoordinated teamwork of the Gozyugers, and it's fun because I just love how much of a nonsense team they can be whenever they try to work together. And it was the whole point of this movie. It was that is it Pestis? I think I saw that here. Let's see, Pestis, yes, one of the remnants of the calamity. He puts them through a series of trials that involve like volleyball and other games and stuff, and watching them try to compete and work together is really funny. And also, like, whenever the calamity is involved, because they're not Bryden, they don't have access to the Agis as their foot soldiers, because those are Bryden creations. So instead, they just use foot soldiers from across Super Sentai history, and it's a lot of fun to see them. It's really funny, too, because I had seen Live Man not too long ago, so it's funny seeing the Live Man foot soldiers around here, along with a few others that I had just seen at the time. And I was like, oh man, I remember you and you and you and you. And it's just, it's a good time. I enjoy that. Good stuff, fun movie. And then a few days later, February 6th, Ohranger, Super Sentai number 19. So starts my journey to number 30, which definitely gonna take a little bit. Unlike when I watched Kakuranger and I could recall SPD really well, I'm not as well versed with Zio. I know I saw it, but it's not something that really stuck to my head too much, so there's not a lot of like, oh, I remember this from Zio, or I remember how they used this in Zio. I was just watching Ohranger, and I was enjoying it. So yeah, I wrote all their names down here. Okay, Goro, Yuji, Shohei, Judy, and Momo. The core team: Chief Miura, leader of the UAOH, and Chouriki and Dorian jump in later with King Ranger. And it's interesting. I like this one because the Ohrangers were actually formed as part of the governmental or military body, as I believe an arm of the Air Force. Yes, that's what I wrote here. So they have common recognition to all the people, and government and law enforcement, that they know who they are and why they're here and what they're fighting against. It's all like really out in the open. It's not to say that that's not something that Super Sentai has ever done before. Obviously, I think that's how they started with Goranger and Jutka. But it's fun to watch this one from that perspective, because I think a lot about how, with a lot of other Sentai that I've seen recently, the more modern ones, that the team kind of go wherever to do their stuff, and sometimes that involves running into random buildings to try to find a monster or progress the plot, you know. And it's just really funny that it's like, how do you get in there? They just barge in wherever they're going. It's like a lot of times they open the doors and walk into doctors' offices and or a scientist labs and start demanding things from the. It's not even a problem that I have. It's not like, oh my gosh, they can't do this. It's just so funny how often it happens in a lot of Sentai, and that just. Sometimes the people who are in there when the Sentai team barges in, they're like, what are you doing in here? You can't be in here. You know, and stuff like that. So in contrast, I thought about all those scenes, and it's a lot funnier here when they get into a fight with not a fight. They illegally park, and a traffic cop is kind of like giving them an issue about it. And then they show their flash their badges, say who they are and why they're here. And he's like, oh man, my bad. And then when they get to the crime scene area, this like building they need to get into, they once again show their badges to people and they let them in. And I don't know, it's just really funny to see them going through it this way versus how I've seen so many other teams do it. That was just a minor thing. So it's really cool watching this one after some of the other ones that I saw at the time. I think Dekaranger, Kakuranger, and Live Man recently, and just kind of comparing the team dynamics and everything like that with the crew. And Goro is a great red. Like he's just such a serious leader, and it's like he's in that role. And I feel like I talked about this before, and I can't remember. It might have been in the tier list, but I guess it's so interesting how many more serious reds I've seen going through the older series versus how they act in the more modern ones, which I just think is really funny. As like a consistent through line with the color. I don't know, that's interesting. I did think it was cool that Chief Miura, even though I haven't seen Jutka or Goranger, I know that that's the same actor for Ohranger and Big One, because it's like common knowledge that's just spread around the Sentai fandom whenever everyone talks about that character or that actor, and they show that he played all these three characters, which was really cool. There was something, I guess I'll reference it later in the future when it comes to the civilians of the week, the victims of the week who fall prey to the monsters of the week. It was very episodic and very simple. There's some really good stuff. I like their final battle against the first main villain, the Paranoia Emperor Bacchus Wrath. I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't care too much about the Bomber the Great. He was literally just a stopgap to get from Emperor Bacchus Wrath to Kaiser Budont, who was a great villain for the ending arc. I really liked when Budont grew up, and then he became a serious problem for the team. So I thought that was cool. And Ricky King Ranger, he was cool when he was around. Like I know I mentioned this in the tier list, but there are times when Ricky, like after Ricky's debut episode, like he even says like, "Oh yeah, there's 6 of us." He's like, "Yeah, not really." I'm like, okay, he's gonna be that kind of 6, is he? And then he is. Sometimes he's around, sometimes he's just not. They go entire episodes, you just won't see him. Or this is where I mentioned that when they're doing the final attack in the giant robo, in their big robo at the end of a battle, you'll see his little cut in. Like the screen will be in 6 parts, and you'll see Ricky there, and that's the only time he's in the episode. But what really did stand out to me and that I remember the most about Zio going into Ohranger was the mecha and the robos. So I really like, especially O-Blocker is one that's always stuck out to me. I think Pyramider or King, or I think it's called King Pyramider or Pyramidus and Zio is just really cool. So, you know, cool shit. Yeah, the 3-part finale was cool. Although I do find it funny that after the final battle and all of Paranoia is defeated, The Baranoia Queen leaves the baby with the Ohrangers because it's like an innocent baby. So it's like the little robot baby that was Kaiser Budont and his wife Multiwa, I think was her name. And it's like, just take care of it, you know, it's innocent, it didn't do anything that we did. You know, I think the Machine Empire had ruled over Earth for a few months, I think, in the ending, when the Ohrangers had to go somewhere else and then come back. But, you know, so they're left with the baby, which they end up giving to, I forget his name. He's basically like a genie that helps people out. He's kind of like unofficially on the team. He pops in every so often to help for him to take care of. And then that's it. Like, I'm like, well, I mean, she trusted it to you guys, but I guess it'd make more sense. I don't think they would know how to take care of a robot baby. But what's really funny is that it doesn't come up again at all in the future, unless I'm, like, not there yet. So, you know, hopefully everything's okay with the little robot baby. This is where the fun begins. So Ohranger saw the return and the official beginning of the annual Super Sentai crossover events, which when I learned this, that was when I made the final decision to do my plan and just continue from Kakuranger. Because my original plan was to just hop around. It's like, oh, I really like Lightspeed, so I'm gonna watch Go-Go 5. Or I really like Time Force, so I'll do Time Ranger next. Like, I was more jumping. Like, my initial plan was just going back and forth instead of in line. But once I realized that the team ups start with Ohranger and they continue from there until Gozyuger, I was like, you know what? I'll go in order, and then I'll be able to watch the crossovers as I go as well. Because once again, I watched Dekaranger. I still haven't seen Deka versus Oberanger or Magiranger versus Dekaranger. Those are the only Dekaranger related things that I have not seen yet because I'm waiting until I get to those shows. So this was the first crossover between Sentais since Jatka versus Goranger, but it's also the first one to feature the full casts of both together. Because I think for the Jatka versus Goranger, I think the only Goranger that came back for that was Pink, if what I heard was correct. Technically, once again, Blue's actor doubled up with playing Big One and Ohranger, but I think in that crossover he was only ever on screen as Big One. So yeah, but for this, and when this crossover was going, they only really had Sasuke and Tsuruhime, red and white, for the majority of the action. But they did mention partway through, and you see them, Jiraiya, Saizo, and Sekai coming on the way. It's actually like a pretty funny scene when it shows them in Nekomaru, the bus, the cat bus, just flying in. And they're just like arguing with each other. I thought that was funny. I found out later when I was reading little tidbits, trivia about it, that it was just supposed to be Sasuke and Tsuruhime, but eventually the other three cleared up their schedule and they were totally willing to pop in, which is why they're there for the final battle and the ending. So yeah, it's the first crossover and like the first big time crossover, and I had so much fun watching it. It's a really silly premise from the bad guys that Bacchus Wrath and Budont want to one-up each other in terms of which of them can defeat the Ohrangers, and so they both make robots to try to compete. And I think they get graded throughout the movie by the other bad guys, which I thought was really funny. And then the Ohrangers and Kakurangers eventually working together to try to defeat both of them was really cool. Just seeing them lined up and knowing both of them, especially being really attached to the Kakuranger because they were great, just made it was great. It was great. Apparently, it's the other trivia bit I read is that it's the only crossover that doesn't feature robos from both teams. And I was like, oh, okay. So from then on, they do that. I'm guessing because in the final battle, when the enemies turn big, only the Ohrangers deploy with their robos. The Kakuranger do not call theirs. Yeah, so that was really fucking cool. That was just neat. Oh boy, right. So in the midst of my Sentai watching, Expedition 33 was what I was playing. Oh man, oh this is a big one. You know what? I'm gonna skip it for now and go talk about the rest of the month, which is just Sentai. Then we'll circle back and we'll hit up on Expedition 33. So February 10th, which was February 7th. So just like right after I guess right after I finished this crossover, went ahead and finished Expedition 33. Okay, and then February 10th, I finished Gozyuger. it ended. Oh man, what a fucking man! I'm so sad. But at the same time, like I understand, you know, they're taking a break. It's cool. I still haven't seen Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity. I will at some point. It's just I'm so knee deep in going through Sentai. I don't even know what my plan is currently, but about where I want to start watching it, where I want to like squeeze it into. But we'll see. But Gozyuger is what I wrote here. Concluding chapter to 5-decade long. It's crazy to think about how long it was. And once again, it's just, man, it shit got serious at the end, which happens with Sentai all the time. Hoeru, Rikuo, Ryugi, Sumino, Kinjiro. That's the main 5. And Kumade, who came in as Goju Polar, was such a dick, but he's so silly. Man, what a fun series this one was. I just like it was so interesting approaching it because it had the 3 sides of the conflict with obviously the good guys, the Bride and then the Calamity. And towards, I think it was like a few episodes back, towards maybe 10 before the ending, they finished the conflict with the Bridens and convinced them not to keep the fight going, essentially. Or at least like to kind of like just be one with humanity and try to bond and all that stuff. But Fire Candle was resistant. The Calamity was still out there. The leader of the Calamity, I forgot his name, was a deal for the last, like 2 of the last episodes before Fire Candle. And Fire Candle was around too, who kept taking more power from the Calamity to power himself up so he could fight the Hoeru specifically, since they had such a rivalry. But man, like Tegasword. Oh man, there's like so many pieces to Gozyuger that it's like it's so, because they have the big ring battle, so they have the other universe warriors you meet. There's the Calamity that's coming in as all a third party. There's a Rikuo's buddy, I forgot his name, the guy with Silver Eyes, who's just another iron in the fire. And it's like they had a lot going for this one. I know a lot of people, or at least, well, I mean, I don't know, I won't say a lot of people because I don't know what the percentage is, but some people wish it was probably more simplified, or that it just focused on the Universe Warriors, or just focused on the Bride, or this or that. Sure, maybe that would have, maybe keeping it, cutting one thing off or the other would have been beneficial. I will say, like, the only thing I don't like that comes to mind immediately is like a certain resolution I'm not a fan of is Rikuo's buddy. The gray-eyed dude was just, I really didn't like him, and he was like so overtly evil and such an asshole. And yet when he's finally defeated and put in jail, it's almost like I guess the story almost wants you to feel sorry for him. Rikuo certainly does. And it's like I can't remember if during the ending when they're showing what everybody's up to, if he got out of prison and he's just okay now. And I'm like, I don't think he should have. But then again, maybe it has something to do with Kumade rewriting how certain things of stuff, like finally allowing Sumino's sister to wake up and all that stuff. Maybe there's a little bit something in there and it has to do with that. But that was one thing I wasn't a fan of. Also, I didn't really like Tegajun like at all. Like, which apparently that's a common thing. That is something that I think I've seen a lot of people complain about, or at least not so much that they don't like Tegajun, but that they're not, that I guess in the same way that I'm kind of bummed that Rikuo's buddy didn't get the proper comeuppance I think he deserved. It's the same for Tegajun. That she just kind of, she got her new family and she's happy, even though all the nonsense she caused was sending all the no ones and triggering all the number 1 battles all over the place. But man, those were fun. I really enjoyed the different ways that they tackled on the characters. And then my favorites I mentioned plenty of times was Ryugi, Goju Tyrando, and Fire Candle on the Bride side. Cool action, just some of the best big robot fights in these last few seasons. Boom Boomer, especially Gojuger. Because Tegasword is just a really cool looking robo. And then when he got his additional forms, the Akatsuki and then the I think Tegasword Advent, the really big one that fused with this huge sword. Just awesome stuff. Really cool, very fun. Like what a fucking insane team they were. My gosh dang. I've never seen more people are reluctant to be on the team than, gosh, I don't even know. I have to really dig into my Sentai history to remember if there's anyone else who's just not friends as they could possibly be. And it was really nice that they just finally, it took until the final episode to get a actual legitimate roll call in, like at the very end there. And I do like that the final episode was just called "We Are #1 Sentai Gozyuger." I thought that was awesome too. But once again, these last few, some of these seasons towards the end here, like Dawn Brothers and King Ohranger and Gozyuger, whoever the people out there who make roll call vids for all the teams, like I feel sorry for you, because they really at the end of these 50 years wanted to make it harder for you to get them, as if Turbo Ranger doesn't exist. That was a good time. And the I don't know when it'll come back. Obviously there's still the crossover with Boom Boomger, which I'm excited to see. There's a Goju Polar side story from his first ring battle that I also want to see. And who knows, maybe they'll do some standalone Super Sentai movies here and there, an anniversary film or two here or there, and someday maybe it'll come back for a new season. Who knows? Still, it was really nice to see it through to the end, and I did like the final. I don't even know if you call it passing the torch, but just featuring Gavin Infinity and all the anniversary rings was cool. February 11th. And the next day, I wrapped up watching Gekisou Sentai Carranger. This was number 20. And wow, where did I write the team for you guys? Kyosuke, Naoki, Minoru, Natsumi, and Yoko. Oh man, Carranger fucking... The only thing I knew about Carranger for heading into it is that it's a parody. So it's supposed to be funny or silly or like making a lot of jokes at their own expense. And that's definitely noticeable in like the very first episode when you meet Dapu, who's the alien that's going to help them out. And he gets into a fight with, I forget his name, one of the bad guys. And it's like he gets hurt. So he gives his whole sad backstory and talks about how he's hoping the good guys can, how the Carrangers can win the fight for them, which finally convinces them to transform because they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to fight the aliens. And then Dapu just springs back up after they do it, like, oh, thanks. You know, there's a few moments like that and stuff. But ultimately, I was actually surprised by, I guess in some, I don't want to say it takes itself too seriously because I don't think it does, but it does kind of like just, it's not all jokes and gags and silliness all the way through, which is kind of what I was expecting. So it's not to say I was disappointed. I was just more surprised. But I really enjoyed Carranger because it was pretty funny. I like the team. Kyosuke, what a red he was. It's just, I don't even know if he was doing his best, but it's just so funny how out of it they all are. I think Minoru Green, which is really funny. I think he might have been my favorite of this team. Yeah. Guy always complaining about not having money. Then again, I think all 5 of them are always complaining about not having money. They work out of a auto repair shop. And in stark contrast to the Ohrangers, who were a well-known team, the Carrangers maintained their secret identity up until I think the last 2 or 3 episodes. No one knew who they were, which I was surprised by. Like, as dumb as they are, they kept their hidden identities for like the entire show, and ultimately they didn't screw up when it came to other people finding out who they were. It was the bad guys doing something that canceled their transformation and exposed who they were. Okay, actually, now that we're here talking about Carranger, we can talk about something else I noticed. I think it's gonna start changing with Carranger, which I really like. When the bad guys were first wanted to learn how to grow big, because it actually wasn't something as a result of what they were doing, which, let me see if I can remember what the bad guy team is called. Bozok. Yes, the Bozok. They want to blow up the earth and turn it into fireworks. It just happenstance that they eat a bunch of human food, and there's one specific human food that turns them big, and I think it's called Imo Yokan. From a specific store, but they eat it and it makes them grow big. So it's just so funny that that's their power, that they can get that kind of power from that food. But the thing is that what was really funny about that is that the monster of the week attacks a kid to try to get his food, and that kid, the Carrangers work at an auto repair shop. Their boss, he's the father of that kid. So that father, that kid, and the mother are like recurring civilians, especially the kid who hang out with the team. And I think it's the same kid that like bonds with Signal Man while he's on Earth. Or if that's another kid. I think it's the same kid. I want to say it's the same kid. But basically the idea is that's the same kid. That's the same family. I want to say maybe halfway through 30 episodes into the show, the father and the wife stop showing up like at all, but the kid is still around. And that's something that I kind of picked up on the other ones that I've watched. When it comes to Ohranger, there was a family that appeared on, I want to say, 3 or 4 episodes. And they were always the subject to the monster of the week, like destroying their house or messing with them. And it ends up with their house being destroyed, and they choose to move to another town. They say goodbye to the Ohrangers. It's a really funny recurring thing that this same family fell victim to the thing all the time. But aside from that, a common thing in Kakuranger and the rest of Ohranger is that some episodes will introduce a kid or a young person who gets in trouble, and it turns out that they're tangentially related to one of the Ohrangers in terms of being like the kid of a neighbor or an old family friend or just someone that they knew in their professional lives before they became Sentai warriors, right? And it's just like, oh yeah, I remember you from like my high school days. And a few episodes later, it's like, oh, I remember this is my neighbor and this is my neighbor's kid, you know? Something like that where it's more generic people that show up for some episodes to give a bit of direction. Whereas with Carranger, with that family and that kid that was more recurring, they had constant civilians around and that are pretty much recurring cast members. And that's something that after Carranger going into Megaranger and then especially Gingaman, it's just it's constant. It's like a new thing that they start to do to have these regular civilians and not just random civilians in every episode. So that was something that I actually appreciated seeing. And it was also very funny when the father and the wife were still around, the father and the mother of the kid were still around in some of the early episodes, because once again, they just kept getting wrapped up into the silliness, which was very fun. The show was fun. Like, it was funny. It was I still not as Zenkaiger will always be the funniest one to me, but this one was just immensely enjoyable. Signal Man, I was kind of surprised when he joined up when he first appeared. It was really early, and then he stuck around and he was pretty consistent for I want to say let's say 10 episodes, and then he's like, I'm going home to my home planet now. So I'm like, oh, so they're just gonna write him out the rest of the show. He came back a few episodes after that on the villain side for reasons, and then he went back to the hero side, and then he disappeared after that. Like he became irregular again, and I'm just like, man, yeah, they had a hard time actually like latching onto a 6 to begin. Like, I wonder if it's like a money thing or like just a storytelling thing. I don't know what it is about how I don't even know what to call it, but just how spotty their appearances and their roles are with characters like that. I did enjoy Signal Man though, he was fun. The Bozuk were probably the silliest part of the whole show, which is saying a lot given it's not like the team is like themselves immensely serious. But even when the main bad guy came up, Exos, like, I want to say they did take him a bit more seriously, but not as much as anything else. Or as any other Sentai might for their final threat. But gosh. And also, I totally forgot how cool the robos in the show were. RV Robo and VRV Robo have they just look really cool. In contrast, we got Carranger versus Ohranger, which is the second one. So I was like, how in the world do we combine Carranger silliness and Ohranger not silliness? You know? And honestly, my favorite part of this team up is like the first half when the teams are at odds with each other, because the Ohrangers are chasing like the last member of like the last Paranoia who escaped. They're gonna they want to defeat him, and he tells Red Racer, he tells Kyosuke that they've been chasing him and they heard him and they like want to arrest him for no reason. And Kyosuke instantly believes the monster, which puts them at odds. So now the Carrangers and the Ohrangers are against each other. And then the Bozok come in, and I think they come in on the side of the Ohrangers because they want to. I think because they want to get back the guy who's with the Carrangers. And so it's nonsense that the good guys are teaming up with the bad guys against the other good guys because of a simple misunderstanding. And it makes the entire first act ridiculous, especially the car chase. But good gosh, the way it all resolves is hilarious because Red Racer is in the car with the Paranoia escaping from O-Red and everybody else who's chasing them in like a 5-car rally with the other Carrangers and the Bozok. And while he's in there, he finally asks the Paranoia, why are the O-Rangers after you? Why are they so desperate to like catch and destroy you and stuff like that? And so the Bozok just straight up, not the Bozok, the Paranoia just straight up tells him, it's because I want to make car people. I want to fuse humans, forcibly fuse humans and machines together to make car people. Like, I kidnapped a bunch of kids to make car people and they stopped me. Could you believe that? You know, so the whole time he's telling this thing, Red Racer's driving them away, and after the bad guy finishes explaining his evil plans and why the O-Rangers are after him, Red Racer's like, huh. And then he calls Dapu, and he's like, hey, Dapu? And Dapu's like, I think this guy's a bad guy. And Red Racer's like, yeah, I'm kind of thinking that too. So then he stops the car and kicks him out. And it's just so, it's so fucking funny. It's so perfect. Like, I was laughing my ass. I replayed that part so many times because it's just that realization that hits Red Racer and Dapu at the same time after the bullshit they just went through and everything, all the problems they caused for the O-Rangers was just so fucking funny. But yeah, so like I said, the first half of the team up is great. The second half, it's not necessarily that it's bad, but this is something that I think is, I don't want to say recurring, but it's something that can happen in other crossovers. There's always the worry of representing both sides and giving both sides enough time, not just to be on screen, but to be on screen together and have interactions. And this team up, it's like, I don't want to compare it to this because this is insanely worse, but it's the easiest way I can think of it to describe it. Samurai had a team up with RPM. I think it was called Clash of the Red Rangers, and literally all it did was that they had RPM Red in the team up, like in suit the whole time, so you actually never got to see, I think his name was Scott, out of costume, and the rest of the RPM team just wasn't there. For this one, it's not that bad, but they spend more time with O-Red and Chief Mura than with the rest of the O-Rangers. To the point that whole conflict starts because they get into a fight with O-Red. I think O-Blue or O-Green is with him when they first encounter them. But then after that, the rest, because O-Red gets taken along with the Paranoia by the Bozok, and he's being held prisoner. So the mission is to go and rescue him. But yeah, there's O-Red, O-Blue, O-Green, O-Pink, and O-Yellow are barely in the crossover. Chief Mura has more time. And granted, the Chief Mura section I thought was funny, where he's training the Carrangers to be better because they screwed everything up in the first half. But it's just kind of surprising how little O-Rangers are in the team up. So yeah, that's kind of sad because I like the Carrangers and the O-Rangers, but 4 of the O-Rangers have almost no screen time in this crossover, which, you know, I'm sure that's a recurring thing, and that there are other crossovers that have done that, where they don't split the time too well between both sides, and I guess we'll see as I go through them. But that was still very funny. Still very funny. And then February 19th, so the last one for the month, before I circle back and talk about Expedition 33 for an hour. So Megaranger, Super Sentai number 21. Man. Kenta, Koichiro, Shun, Chisato, and Yuki. They become Mega Rangers, and I wrote sheer happenstance. It really is sheer happenstance. And they have to defend the Earth against invaders from the Nejire dimension, known as the Nejiregia. Bad guys, Dr. Hinalar, Commanders Ugande, and Shibolina. It's all coming back to me. So, I watched, as you can see clearly, like, I wrapped up Ohranger at the start of the month on the 6th. 5 days later, I finished Carranger on the 11th. 8 days later, I finished Megaranger on the 19th. So I was going through them pretty quick, especially Megaranger. I finished this one fast. And out of the 3 of them, Megaranger's my favorite. Megaranger's fantastic. Like, if I had, like, all 3 DVDs on my hand right now, which I don't think these have. No, they do. I'm pretty sure they do. Because, yeah. I would give you the Megaranger DVD first and be like, check that one out. Not to say Ohranger and Carranger are bad. I enjoyed them both a lot. But Megaranger was fucking fantastic. I loved it. Like, this one was just tops. I love the team. The bad guys are cool. The bad guys stick out to me. Dr. Hinalaro, Ugande, and Shibalina. The Robos are really cool. And they had one of the best mentors that I've seen so far. Like, I don't remember the Kakuranger mentor. It's not Kakuranger. Dairanger. I don't remember him too much. It's been a long time. The Kakuranger mentor did nothing except say vague things and then not help his team at all. Mura and Dapu they're both really good and I like them. I thought they did well in their roles as mentors, but fucking what is his name? It's written in here somewhere. Kubota, Dr. Kubota, fucking legend. Like, absolutely amazing. Like, this was not the situation he wanted to be in. The last thing he wanted to do was have 5 high schoolers be protecting the planet. Like, if he could, I'm sure he would have changed it to literally anyone else, but this is what he got. This is the hand he was dealt, and he had to deal with it, and it was really hard because they're high schoolers. And so it comes with a whole bunch of things about them being lazy, like with Red, when he's like that, or having interests and desires elsewhere, which was the thing with Blue, and I want to say Yellow or Pink, or maybe all of them. Like, the only one who was fully committed to the task was the team leader, Mega Black, Koichiro. He was very determined he had schedules and everything balanced out between Megaranger training and school time learning, and no one else was interested in his schedules. So it's so funny how much of a clash it was with the team and how they ran things and how they tried to resolve things, and then with Kubota, and then with the bad guys just having the worst timing whenever they appeared. Whether it was the musical performance, I think it was for Pink? No, Yellow. Chisato, right? I'm not getting her mixed up with a different one. Yes, Chisato. And, like, losing her voice and then having to try to beat the monster to get her back so they could perform. Or whether it was, I want to say, Koichiro and Chisato in the episode where they were taking their entry exams for college. And then the bad guys came up and they had to pull them away from those entry exams. Like, there's so much stuff that is just unfortunate, but it's like they know that being Mega Rangers means they have to throw this stuff on the back and commit, and it's just like, it's really good. I will say also it was weird because I feel like the characters don't look like the characters. This is the first time I ever noticed. Did the characters change their hairstyles permanently? Because I swear Kenta and Koichiro specifically, there's like a point at certain episodes, it's different episodes, where they change their physical appearance. Or maybe they do their hair differently or something like that, and then they just stay like that for the rest of the show, and I'm like, I don't know how you looked in the beginning. Like, I don't think it is. And it's weird. Another thing I thought was interesting that I brought up before when it comes to these older Sentais is how little they do their roll calls. Megaranger was weird in that I don't think they had a roll call the first time they transformed. I could be wrong, but I don't remember it. Let's say they did. And then it took like 15, 20 episodes before they had a second roll call. Like, I was surprised. I'm like, are they never going to do one? I think they still did the Denji Sentai Megaranger, like the group pose, but I don't think they did their individual ones until a Mega Blue focused episode, like 20 episodes in. And he led that roll call, so it wasn't even like a normal roll call either. But then after that, then it became like really frequent when they would do the Mega Ranger roll call. Much more so than the Carrangers, the Ohrangers, and especially the Kakurangers. So I know it's like it's not even necessarily a complaint, it's just really funny to realize that, because I think it's a joke, like a meme of how often they do their poses and stuff and how often they roll call, but when you actually watch shows back, it's kind of surprising how little they actually do it. So it's interesting. But man, Megaranger was fucking awesome. There was some great shit in here, and oh, I forgot to mention Yusaku, Mega Silver. He was really fucking cool too. I really liked him. Like he was a great 6, and I think like his like role in the story in terms of how often he appears, I want to say definitely more frequent than the guys before him. And he had a cool robo for himself too, the Mega Winger. So like, yeah, I think he's a pretty good 6. He's still not around as often as you would think. At least not as Mega Silver, because he's also an INET scientist. So he's always at the base doing research and helping create new weapons, new robos, or just studying the Neji Regia or whatever the INET were doing on their side. But yeah, he was a good 6. I like him. And then the last thing I have to say is the finale. It has, I said this in the tier list video, and if you didn't see that, that's fine. So I'll say it here. For ever since I saw King Ohranger, I said King Ohranger has the best final mecha battle in all of Sentai, at least all of Sentai that I've seen. Megaranger's up there. Like the final battle between, what was it called? Not Galaxy Mega. Galaxy Mega was the first one. Delta Mega was the second one. Mega Winger is Silver's. Mega Voyager. I think it's Mega Voyager versus Dr. Kinolar's Giant Fortress Robo. Fucking awesome. Like, holy shit. That was just the final battle, the final episode, the final conflict is just tops. Like, Megaranger was great all the way through, and it hit that peak right at the very end with the last just the closing, like defeating Ugande, Shibulina, and Dr. Kinolar, and the final resolution. You know, yes, amazing, fantastic, glorious, loved it. Megaranger's a huge fave, really liked it. A lot more so than I was expecting. And then once again, like with Carranger, I don't remember Turbo all that much. And with Megaranger, I do remember In Space quite a bit, because In Space had the honor, the very, very difficult to achieve honor of ending the Saban era, or not ending the Saban era, the Zordon era. The ongoing plot that started with the first season of Mighty Morphin all the way to In Space, and they nailed it. They fucking nailed it. But In Space, for what it was, fucking hell, that's not at all Megaranger. It's just so funny to see them side by side and be like, oh yeah, they did different shit. Like, while Dekaranger and SPD's alternate plots, like, they're episode by episode, there were a lot of adaptations in SPD of Dekaranger stuff, but the overall plot of Grum and the Trubian invasion versus the Dekarangers and all the crimes that they stop are completely different. So, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And then here, it's just so funny. It's so funny, too, to think that, how they adapted all these different shows with the Zyurangers, the Ohrangers, and the Carrangers have nothing to do with school. And yet, the Mighty Morphin team, the Turbo team, and the Zeo team are in school. I think the Turbo team does graduate at some point. Before we go into In Space, I could be wrong. Or maybe, yeah, I think so. But then we get to In Space, and Megaranger are school kids. They have the whole plot revolves half about them being school kids fighting these cyber threats, and then In Space it's like, we're not doing school anymore. It's just so funny. It's such a funny thing to realize in hindsight, that after all the school time they had, they stopped using school as a setting when it becomes the setting. It's like, it's so fucking funny. Like, they couldn't have planned that better. Yeah, okay, well, Expedition 33 time. How long? This video, I've already, oh my god. Okay, well, I mean, I have a lot to say, and it blows up, and then, oh my god. I don't even know where to start with Expedition 33, man. I don't even know. But, like, I started my thing here saying, at this point, I don't think there's anything I can say that hasn't already been said. And, yeah, so if you don't want to listen to me talk about the game for too long, which I hope I don't, I'll just sum it up like this. It's amazing. Like, it really does live up to all the hype, I guess. Like, all the people who say it's great and who love it, yeah, it's great and I love it. Like, it really is just that good. It's a fantastic game. And I was interested in it when the first trailer for it came out. I was like, oh man, that looks interesting. I want to check that out. And of course I didn't because of reasons. I'm sure there was another game that I bought that I was gonna buy at the time instead. I don't like buying stuff too quickly in succession of one another, so I was like, I pushed it off until later, and later was February 2026. Goddamn, I spent 2 weeks straight playing this, and yeah, it's absolutely, like, all the praise it gets. Yeah, I know a lot of times when you see something that's like heavily praised and stuff, you always go into it expecting it to be overrated. Or maybe it's like, yeah, it's good, but they went to, like, you know, like that kind of thing. But I think this one was well above and beyond even what I had heard. And I enjoyed it a hell of a lot. Like, what a game. Like, just functionally, it's super fun to play. And very interesting in that I expected it to be, you know, a classic RPG where you have your team, there's enemies, you choose a command, you punch them. You know, that kind of thing. Like old Final Fantasies or Persona or this or that. Any other game that has that style, you know, you choose attack or item or skill on the menu, you smack an enemy back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And obviously there's probably like a little bit of an edit here or there to add some more mechanics to make the fights more engaging, which they do have. But the one thing I did not expect is that all the party members function differently. Like, they all can do that. They all can just take their turns and attack or use abilities. But there's an additional layer with how every single character has unique functions to themselves that make the battles interesting. Whether that's whenever Lune uses magic, she has like a chart that keeps track of 4 different elemental things that she creates when she uses certain elements. And then what she has can then be used for a future elemental attack to make it stronger. Yeah, you know, and then it'll remove those. So, like, I think the easiest way to explain it is, like, the ice move gets stronger, you have little fire stains. Stains are what they're called. So you use a fire move, you get fire stains. Use an ice move, it uses those fire stains and does more damage, basically. And so it's like this constant loop where you're trying to think when you're using Lune of what attack you want to do, what stains you're going to get, and then how you can use them in your next attack to do even more damage and stuff like that. And that's just Lune. It gets nuts when you take into effect Mael's stance switching or CL's goddamn tarot system is great. Just wow, it's like it's just so cool because when things work out and all the elements like come together and you know exactly what you want to do with certain characters, you're just taking shit out and you're pulling off some great moves and you're doing insane damage and you're saving your team, and it's awesome. Like, it's really good. Like, just gameplay functionality. I love running around the world and fighting monsters. You get rewarded for every single random encounter you clear, and they're not random encounters. The monsters are on the map. I think almost every single monster encounter that is in the game, the first time you clear it, you get something. Whether it's an item, like a random item drop, or a weapon gets upgraded, or you get a new Pictos or stuff like that. The Pictos and Lumina system is fucking great. Like, goddamn, just going into all the game mechanic stuff, it's like I would never stop talking about how much fun it is to like reset people's Luminas and give them all new skills based on how many points you have, or setting up their specific Pictos so you get the stat boost that you need. And it's just it's awesome. Like, holy wow, it's a very fun game to play. Challenging too. I played it on the standard difficulty. Yeah, I remember people complaining. I remember there was one complaint I saw where people said, well, if you parry everything, like, it becomes too easy. And I'm like, does it? And it took me a while to get used to that, to parry more frequently. I usually stuck to dodging because I wasn't great at parrying, but I got much better at parrying as the game went on. And like, after Act 2, you get the ability to break the damage limit, which I was surprised. I thought that was like a post-game thing. And I guess technically Act 3 is all like 90% post-game, so I guess sure. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to use it, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? And no, enemy HP is sufficiently stacked that even breaking damage limit, it's not like you just wipe anyone out instantly. In fact, I had the opposite issue where I forgot to put the break damage limit on my characters at one point when I was resetting Luminas. And I got into a fight that I could normally clear just like that, and it was taking forever. Everybody was hitting 9,999, and the end of these HP bar was barely moving. I was like, oh right, because I usually hit for like 6 digits now. Shit, you know, it's just like, oops. So I had to run away from that fight and reset shit. Yeah, so mechanically it's awesome. Exploring the world is great. Expedition 33 has one of the best collectibles in any game ever, and that's the past journal entries. Because, like, the whole plot, like, the easy way to sum up the plot is that expeditions are sent to the mainland to try to defeat the Paintress, to hopefully stop the number thing. Because that number goes down every year, and every time it does, people disappear. Like, the game starts at a 34, and when it changes from 34 to 33, everybody who's aged 34 vanishes, and then so the number keeps going down, and this happened all the time. So all these expeditions are sent out to try to stop the Paintress from paying that new number and killing everybody. Like that, everybody is trying to do that, and all the expeditions that go prior leave behind their journals, and you can find those journals to get like a little bit of insight into what that expedition was like, what their idea or their plan was, or how they fucked it all up, you know. And it's narrated by a member of that expedition, and it's fucking great. Like every time I found a new journal, I was like, okay, what are we getting this time? Or like, it's like what kind of person, like what kind of expedition was this? What did they accomplish? What did they do? And sometimes it's hilarious, the stories you read, whether it's the mushroom poisoning or the guy who got headbutted by the, gosh, what were they called? The wood people. God, I forgot their names. Oh no, did I write it here? Gosh, I forgot. Like, or it's like really cool people who tried different strategies or who were successful in this, or some battle-hungry expeditions who are all about taking out Nevrons and like racking out points, or like being known for how many they took out. Like, there's a lot of shit like that it's just like, it's so cool. It's so much fun. Every single time I found one, I was so excited. As it stands now with the game, I'm missing one achievement, and I gave up. I'm missing 2 achievements, but you get them both from doing the same thing, which is I need to beat the final. I need to beat Simon. I get an achievement for beating Simon, and then I get an achievement for all of the journals. And the last journal, I have to beat Simon to get to it. So that's where they are. And I tried, and I gave up. I was like, I'm good. One day maybe I'll come back and try Simon again, but for now, I'm fine. As for the story, which I haven't talked too much about, I haven't talked about it at all. I don't know how to talk about it. I really don't. It's just start to finish. It's a very engrossing story. The characters are all written in such a way that like their interactions with each other, the banter and everything like that is great. How dedicated they are to this mission of trying to stop the Paintress, and even when it comes to setbacks and stuff like that, how they try to bounce back, or what they try to focus on to keep themselves going, and how they move forward with this mission is just great. It's just, you want them to succeed. You're there going with them the entire way, and you just want things to work out, because it's like every time you think something is working out, it's like, not really. We have another problem to deal with. So I think the team, who we start with, Gustav, Mael, Lune, and CL, and then Verso and Monaco later in the game, and just. It's so funny, like, I see so many memes about different parts of the story, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that gets on. Whether it's the end of Act 1, the end of Act 2, the end of the game, or like what happens in this area or in this area, like old, I was gonna say the wrong thing, old Lumiere, and just, there's so much around this game that just, when you finally get to the monolith and you explore the monolith, you finally get to the Paintress fight. Like, I really don't know how to explain this. I know I said I was gonna go into spoilers, but like, that just makes it even harder to talk about, because then it opens up a whole new thing of categories of stuff you can get into and talk about, and I just don't know what to focus on immediately. I'll say one of the moments when the game actually really started clicking with me, not as in I wasn't before, but that everything just kind of hit, was, I think it was shortly after you get Mael, you get the ability to fight one of the, I forget what they're called, Sturgeon? It's just a really tall Nevrons that like spit stuff at you. I fought one of those, Burgeon. The first time I fought one of those was a fight that took me quite a while, and I was down to one party member, and I won the fight, and I was like, nailed it. Because I mean, admittedly, the Burgeon is quite easy, all things considered, to parry, but it still felt great to survive and actually win that fight. And then the evolution of that was in the Forgotten Battlefield, the battle against the Dueliste, which is like the best boss fight in the game. The Dueliste fight, it's like, I think this is the feeling someone gets in like a fighting game when they fight someone who's just as good as you are. It's like that push and pull of being able to, like, in phase 1 of the Dueliste fight, being able to parry almost every single one of his attacks, even though it was the first time I was seeing them. And then when you went into phase 2, where it just kind of like, it was a 50-50 now. And it's like, okay, I can get that parry, not that. And it's like, just that advancement of the game and how it felt about countering certain enemies, dodging them, parrying them, beating them, and it's like, so good, so good. All helped out by just the characters being characters that you like. I don't even know who my favorite would be because I was quite fond of everybody. When it came to gameplay wise, I think CL was definitely my favorite with her Twilight deck and the Sun and Moon charges and everything. Like, I think until Mael got her true powers back at the start of Act 3, CL was my massive damage dealer. With like, her abilities are insane, especially when you take into account her third gradient attack, which you charge up over the course of the fight. So the longer the fight is, the harder that thing's gonna hit. So I'm just like, man, this is crazy. It is funny though, because at the end of the day, I think one aspect, like the most debated aspect about the game is the ending. So I think, do I want to go into it? It just reminds me of, this is gonna sound weird because I'm comparing it to one of the worst games I've ever played, the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 ending, wherein, like, at the last second, the game pretty much tells you that by stopping the Endless Now and splitting the worlds up, you will be erasing the city and everybody there, because the people who live in the city were born of a union by people from the Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2 worlds. So the worlds combined, and then some people from both sides got together. They had kids who just started entire houses and families and lines that went down generations. By undoing this joining and separating the worlds back to that second that the game started and undoing all that, generations of life are just erased and gone. And even though one of the characters says, but they'll be back in another form, I'm like, how? Like, they can't meet. The worlds are at opposite, they're on separate planes. They weren't supposed to combine in the first place. They were actively working against preventing that from happening. They were actively working against that happening. So they split them up and they erased generations of lives that just never existed. And I mean, to be fair, it's not like the heroes would feel guilty about it because they all erased themselves too. So they all forgot everything and then went back to living their normal lives. And then the DLC said, well, but that was stupid. But the fact is, they snuck that on you at the very end, despite not. That was never something that I was considering until like the very last cutscene where they brought it up. And then one of the characters is like, it's okay, we're fine with being erased. And I'm like, what? Like, it's really weird. This game does that exact same thing, seemingly out of nowhere. Like, admittedly, if someone was to debate with me whether you should have expected that to be like an outcome, I'd be like, you know what? I'm sure there are enough hints going into the game, from Verso specifically, as to what it is he wants at the end, and I guess. But like, the last choice of the game is that Verso wants to destroy the canvas, and Mael wants to protect it, basically, and keep it going. And the canvas the entire game takes place in like a magical canvas. It's a painting, essentially, that is alive. There's life. There's a world within this painting that was painted by the real life Verso. And the Verso in the game is a painted Verso that was created by, I think, his Verso's real mother. I think. I'm not entirely 100% sure who created painted Verso right now, so don't take that. But basically, that's it. He's not the real Verso. But he wants to erase the canvas and stop everything, basically. And the issue that I have with that is kind of similar to Xenoblade 3, is the idea that, and Mael even brings this up during the final battle, he's making the decision unilaterally. Like, one of Verso's things is that he lies and keeps a lot of information to himself. Monaco is always telling him not to do that, but he does it anyway. So whether it's how Act 2 ends and then the start of Act 3 that the entire party's mad at him, or this, is that he keeps these secrets, and then when the information comes out, people rightfully get mad at him. And it's like, well, then why didn't he tell anyone? So he keeps this secret about how he wants to end the canvas and kill everybody, even though he's there fighting along these people who've told him over and over again that they want to be able to live and reclaim their lives that have been stolen by the paintress. You know, they want to live normal lives. That's all that they want. That's why they fight so hard, you know, CL and Lune and everybody. And like, he's listening to them talk about this. He obviously grows close to them over the adventure, but in the finale, it's like, no, yeah, I'll just take out the remaining spirit of Verso that keeps this canvas going, and then erase it all and everybody dies, kind of thing. And of course, then it leads to the whole debate about, well, they're not real people, so it doesn't matter. And people are like, but it should. This, that, the other thing, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like this. And I think ultimately, that's kind of the strength when it comes to the ending, whether you want to wipe it all out as Verso or protect it as Mael, is that it does lead to like an endless conversation about which side you want to go with, you know? And endless debates. And obviously it can get a little heated, as anything does when you're like debating something. But I think the fact is that it does have those kind of lively spirited debates, you know, and that people can argue about the worth of the lives of the people in the canvas. Is a much better argument to have than 90% of other gaming arguments. People are like, right? Because it's actually about the story and about thematically what you think, and ideologically, you know, what you think and what you line up on. So I think when it comes to the ending of this game, whatever side you pick, I doubt you can be convinced that the other side was better. Like, and it's not a matter of being stubborn. I just think it comes down to it's just preferential. Because I think everybody knows that both sides have pros and cons. Because I went with Mael's ending simply because I was with Mael from the beginning of the game. And I liked her a lot. I liked Verso too, but I'm like, well, Mael's been my number one. I really like Gustav, but you know, and Lune, CL was my absolute favorite. But I was like, you know, I want to side with Mael on this because I don't like the idea of destroying the canvas. Basically, I'm not entirely sure that's cool after everything we've been through to just kind of throw it away in the end. I'm not a fan of that. So with Mael's ending, she keeps the canvas going and is able to repaint everybody who's ever been gommaged, which I did not expect. To be honest, I didn't expect that, especially because she even, like, I thought it would only work like if someone was gommaged and she could undo that. I didn't know that she could also bring people back from the dead, so that was like, huh. But the issue is that she gathers, like, the ending is at a opera house or like a performance, a theater, where you see the entire cast of the game, all the people there chilling, and they're all happy that they're alive, naturally. And on stage is a piano, and I was like, it was like a recurring thing throughout the story that Verso could play the piano, and that he wished that he could go back to Lumiere and like host a show. And there was, I think, a conversation between him and Mael about one day being able to do that and see it and like cheer for him on stage and all that kind of stuff. So I see all that happening. I'm like, who's gonna be on stage? Because before this, like, Verso was like on the edge of dying after his final battle with Mael, and then he comes out on stage and he looks at Mael, and then he goes over to the piano and he starts playing the piano, and I was like, no, I don't like that. Like, Yes, I'm happy that the canvas is fine and the people are alive, but I'm not happy about that. I was not, cause like Verso wanted to die. Like as he was laying there dying after the final battle, he kept telling Mael to unpaint him so that he could die. And admittedly, him dying I don't think would destroy the canvas. I think the little spirit thing that manifests as the little boy, I think if anything happened to that, it would destroy the canvas. But painted Verso, I think, could go. Because painted Clair, painted Renoir, painted... I forgot the mom's name. All the other painted Desandre children could disappear, and that's fine. So I think him disappearing would be fine. I guess Mael just got too attached to him. But yeah, so you see, like, while I have a shit ton of issues with Verso's ending, I'm not exactly happy about Mael doing that to Verso and her ending. That's not cool. You know, I mean, if I had to pick, I would still go Mael's way because I don't want this entire world and ecosystem of people to die. And like, man, it's a lot. It's a lot. I know it's a lot. I know. And once again, like I said at the top of this, there's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said. I'm pretty sure if you go anywhere, or if you've watched anyone talk about Expedition 33, they've mentioned everything I've said. I have no doubt about that, because how long the game's been out and what the conversation is. And in fact, because I visited the Expedition 33 subreddit a few times when I was looking for tips or help understanding something, or I was like just looking for a specific thing or this or that, it shows up on my feed, and half the time it's conversation about the ending. It's like someone decided to start a new thread to talk about the ending and why this ending's bad or this ending's bad, or just do stupid takes to get people riled up and yelling at each other. But the bottom line is that people still talk about it to this day, about the endings, and they still debate each other about the exact same things I've just said. So it's like, yeah, I understand it. I get why. Like, I really do understand why someone would like, or someone would prefer to go Verso's way. Like, I totally get it. That's the thing. Like, it's not like I don't think it's like wait, you went Verso's way? You're crazy. Why would you do that? It's like, I get it. I wouldn't myself, but I get it. Gosh, it's good. It's a really good fucking game. It's just like, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Oh man. I just know that when I go back to it, one of the reasons I don't think I could beat Simon is that I don't have enough Lumina active on every single character. And there's no easy way to farm Lumina points in the game. All the ways that I've read about are just, they're too much for me. Like, too much going back and forth, too much reloading and stuff like that. So I think in the future, if I ever want to try to beat Simon again, I'm actually going to restart the game. I'm going to do like a New Game Plus and get Lumina just by playing the game all over again. When I get to Old Lumiere, I'll remember that there is a specific fight in there where you can get a shit ton, and I'll do that, and I'll grind that out. But beyond that, yeah, I would rather replay the whole game again and get Lumina that way to buff up my characters and put on every single thing that I need. And then maybe one day I'll beat Simon. Maybe one. We'll see. Anyway, that's all I've got. Holy shit. What a good time. Also very well performed, well animated. It's just good. It's just good. Anyway, that's February. What a hell of a month. Lots of Super Sentai and then Expedition 33 just in the middle there. Wouldn't change it for anything. Great month February was. Anyway, so next time we'll be going into March, and then we are in April, so I'll be caught up already. Hopefully, it won't take me that long to get there. So, until next time, everyone. Hasta.